Welcome to the Cross the Line Podcast. My name is Carlos Smith, and today's episode is sponsored by KB's Car Care on 321 North Main Street in Jonesville, South Carolina. They offer hand car wash, vacuum, and clean interior. Full detail is also available. While you wait on your vehicle, customer seating is available as well as a dining area. They open Tuesday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., so make sure you stop by. This episode is also sponsored by Big Ben's Desserts. If you need to satisfy your sweet tooth, this is the place for you. They have a wide variety of desserts, including cakes, ice cream, banana pudding, and my personal favorite, which is Oreo cheesecake. They're open Tuesday to Saturday from 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. and Sunday from 12 p.m. to 7 p.m. and closed on Monday. So stop by and visit Big Ben's Desserts on 297 Spartanburg Highway in Lima, South Carolina, where nothing could be sweeter. Today, this is another special episode of the Cross the Line Podcast. It's part of our self-investment tour. We are back in Atlanta. We finally made it through traffic again, but we are here. We have a very special guest. He's a photographer. He does a lot of work for some of the greatest comedians of all time, from George Lopez, D.L Hughley, Cedric the Entertainer, and many more. His son is also one of the biggest artists in hip-hop today. We'll talk a little bit more about that later on, but today we have a special guest with us again today, back for the second time, Mr. Shannon McCullum. How are you?
I'm great, man. Good to be here.
Man, glad to have you on again. It's hard to believe, man. It was the first time we sat down was actually in 2018, so it's almost been 3 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like when I first kind of started, man. So it's a blessing to still be here. First of all,
That's right.
With so much going on, and then just to have you back on, I really appreciate you taking the time to
My pleasure, man.
Sit down again. And I'm kind of just tell everybody again kind of how we met. It might refresh your memory as well.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of D.L Hughley, so I follow him on Instagram, and I always see him post pictures and everything, and I remember him tagging you in a picture. So when a lot of times when people tag somebody and like who took their picture or anything like that, I like to well, who's this person? Let me go click on their profile
Same.
And see their work.
Yeah.
So he tagged you in it, and I was like, and he said Shannon McCollum, and I was just looking at your profile and seeing all the work that you were doing. I said, man, let me just take a chance and just reach out to him and see if he would be willing to come on and share a story. Being that I had a background in journalism, that's what I was doing in college, and I didn't get a chance. It was hard for me to get a job once I graduated, so I kind of had to create my own opportunity.
That's what's up.
So I was like, man, let me just reach out to him and see if he'll be interested in sharing your story. And I didn't know what to expect. Didn't know if you were gonna respond to anything, because I knew you had just looking at your profile. Sometimes they can kind of just talking a little bit about, they can kind of like put a little bit of fear in people, because sometimes you may feel like, man, this person is so huge, they got so much going on, they don't have time to talk to me. But I still stepped out of my comfort zone, and I reached out to you, and thankfully you were like, you would love to come on and share your story.
Absolutely.
So I really appreciate that.
Yes, man.
So that meant a lot to me. But just reading some of your accolades, so people giving people an idea of like who you are and what some of the things that you do. But I want to let you tell yourself, if people come up to you and ask like, who is Shannon McCullum?
Who is Shannon McCullum, man? He's a dude that decided to follow his dreams. He's the dude that decided to follow his dreams. I grew up with my father being a photographer. And so with it being around me, in the house, we had a dark room in the house. You see your dad get up every day and take pictures for a living, and he was a photojournalist. He worked one of the first black photographers to work at the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. And now he's been the staff photographer for Morehouse College for like the last 10, 15 years. So after he retired, he just went to Morehouse. So it run in my blood, man. Photojournalism runs in my blood, and I decided 30 years ago this year. This is my 30th anniversary of taking pictures. Is that I wanted to work with artists. I wanted to be in the entertainment business, but from a photography standpoint, you know what I mean? And back in the day in Atlanta, we had a dope music scene here. You know, we had back in the early '90s. We had a dope music scene with, you know, Atlanta was popping. You had TLC. You know, we had Usher as a kid. We had Criss Cross, who was huge. You know, we had Pastor Troy. We just had so many. Outkast, Goody Mob, the whole Organized Noise. So I kind of jumped in, man, and one of the first people I met, not one of the first people I met, but when I started really, I made my name by shooting parties. I started shooting parties.
Just like house parties, just random.
Just DJs would hire me, so I would show up at these parties and my pictures would be kind of dope, so they would be like, "Hey man, you know, how much had you come back?" You know, so it kind of got in that thing. I was shooting all these parties, and I met Rico Wade, and Rico Wade was the guy that gave the whole Dungeon family sound, from the Goody Mob early records to the early Outkast. Rico Wade did Waterfalls for TLC. You know, they did his little crew, Organized Noise, did all that. So met him, started hanging at his studio. So it was the new Dungeon. You know, there was the old Dungeon where they recorded a lot of the first Outkast album. And then after they got that big hit, they moved. He bought a big house and they turned that studio into, that basement into a studio. So I would go over, man. I would go over, and Future would be over there. Future was, I think he was probably in high school. You know, he was a young dude, man.
So he wasn't even rapping.
No, he wasn't even rapping. No, Future used to be sitting in the corner. Wow. And it's so funny. I'm working on a book, and I was going through some pictures, and I found some pictures of Future, and I was like, wow, Future. He was so young. He was a real young dude. But what I didn't know is he is cousins with Rico Wade. Future's cousin Rico Wade, and Future was just soaking up the game. You know, because it was a big. Outkast was the Atlanta.
Oh yeah, huge.
Yeah. So I just started hanging around a lot of entertainers, man, and musicians, and I started being that dude in the studio, and I worked in a photo lab. So I shoot at night, and then in the morning I go to work and develop my film. It wasn't digital, it was film. Get my film developed at work. And it would be like dudes in the studio, you know, or it'd be them with a legal pad writing their rhymes, you know. I just shot that whole process, but I would come back the next night to the studio with pictures. So I would show up with these pictures, man, and dudes would lose their mind, man, because it's like, yo, we were just doing that last night, you know. And to come in with a photograph, like, you know, it's something tangible. You know, you're looking at yourself on this, you know, nice archive paper, and you're just like, wow, this, you know, it's a photograph. That's what we had back in the day. And I would shoot these dudes, man, and I wasn't talking about bringing in no little pictures, man. You see my work. I was bringing in nice sized pictures for these cats. But what it did was it allowed me to showcase my work. It allowed me to say, you know, you should rock with me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You see how dope the pictures are. I'm printing pictures. I'm giving you pictures. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it was a hustle, man. It was a great hustle, man. I went to Clark Atlanta University.
Okay.
And I would take pictures of like the girls on Friday. Now, probably one day during the week I'd take pictures. But then Friday I would show up with my pictures and sell the pictures to the girls. And so every Friday that became my hustle.
That was a good come up too, yeah.
Yo, so especially you know everybody, man, come on, everybody getting fly on the yard.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Yep. And the girls got used to seeing me with the camera, and I would print their pictures, and I go back to sell them for $5. I sell like little 4x6s or 5x7. And then you got the bros on the line, so I'm shooting them. You got the Qs, you got the Kappas. And so I started making mad bread on Thursdays and Fridays, taking pictures, and then coming back and slinging my pictures. Because I worked at a photo lab too. So, but I would give artists their pictures because I wanted to be around them. You know, I wanted to, that was the best way to build a portfolio. You know, we walked around with portfolios back in the day. You know, you didn't have your social medias and all that. You know,
crazy.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You had to show up with your book and be like, yo.
That's what you got.
Yeah, look, that's how I get down. Yeah. You know, you got to sell yourself, bro.
Man, times have changed.
Man, you just go to your Facebook or your Instagram now, or whatever, whatever.
Yeah.
But nah, man, we had to show up with a portfolio, you know.
How big would you say photography was back then? Because it seemed like pictures really help tell the story.
Mm-hmm.
And I go through your Instagram. I'm like you talking about Outkast and Big Boy and Goody Mob. I remember seeing one of your pictures you posted a while back, and it was just Outkast was performing on stage, but and it seemed like you got in at a time where it was like just perfect timing, right place at the right time. But was photography really a big thing back then? Would you say?
Photography has always been around, but it wasn't like that in the hip hop game. Cass wasn't having photographers come to the studio. It wasn't. It became later on when the hip hop magazines started popping, like the Sources and the Double XLs and some other local regional hip hop magazines. But I just believed in myself, and it wasn't about the bread for me. It was never about the bread. It was about creating content. I come from a background with my father, a photographer, where my dad and my mother used to date the pictures. So any pictures my dad would shoot, he would date his pictures, or my mom would date them, or the family pictures. Me little, it would say my date, and then it just grew, and it's like, okay, so this is a part of documentation. It's a photo documentation. I can look back through my parents' photo album and see back in 1977, I was in first grade, and I had this on. You know what I mean? That's what pictures do. So. It was embedded in me. You know what I mean? And that's journalism. It's photojournalism. It's documentation. It's documenting, and that's something I love, man. I study so many photographers that like Gordon Parks who would go and shoot Malcolm and all those cats. So I study my craft. I study photography.
Yeah. What would you say was that moment for you where you really realized like this is what you wanted to do? Was it like just being around your father and being influenced by him, or was it like when you finally were around the artist and you were like kind of hands-on doing it yourself? What would you say was that moment where you realized like, okay, I know this is what I'm really meant to do?
It's crazy. After seeing being my dad always, my dad, and your bottom drawer in the refrigerator when you keep your mama keep the tomatoes and the fruit and all that kind of stuff. And our bottom drawer was full of film. Like that's what my dad kept. It was like mad film at the end of that. So a part of me having that aha moment was not even really. It's subconsciously it was from my father. But one time I met this dude when I was at Clark through a mutual friend. He was at Morehouse, and he was a photographer. And we went to his apartment, and man, he had all this cool artwork on the wall, man. And I was like, wow, man, like he had some real cool shit on the wall that he had shot. And it was like, and that was a moment for me that I was like, you know what, bro, I want to do this. I want to, and this is before I'm shooting musicians. This is before this is me seeing a dude that I thought he was a cool dude. We were freshmen. I was at Clark. He was at Morehouse. He had swag. He carried a camera everywhere he went. You know what I'm saying? The girls was always at his crib, and he had pictures of girls and pictures of dope art on his wall that he had shot. And that moment right there, I was like, I went home. I was like 18, 19. I was like, hey, Dad, can I have a camera? Like dead ass, I want a camera.
And that was pretty much.
And that was the turning point. It was. I always grew up around art. So when you grow up around art, you bound to go to art museums or galleries or when you see enough art, something has to be in your life that pertains to art. When you grow up around it like that. I don't know if you go into that world or you just someone that really loves art. And photography was that for me,
Do you feel like it took you a long time to, kind of find your rhythm, or how long was it? Would you say it was until you felt comfortable, being around artists and the big name celebrities, to finally start snapping like those kind of pictures?
What happened for me is you're shooting people that you start off shooting people that that'll allow you to shoot them. Because you new to the game. And you're trying to build confidence. Because you can't charge nobody, and you ain't that good yet, man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And you can mess around and be messing up somebody's memories. You can mess around. You could be just, just messing up. But I practiced a lot. I kept shooting stuff, and then I worked at a photo lab, so what gave me confidence is if you had a roll of 36 exposures, and I shot 36, and my goal was I was like 20 of these finna be dope. I wasn't finna waste no shots, because you can't just shoot endless like you can now digitally. You know what I mean? You had a roll of film, and that roll of film was like $5-6, so you only had so many rolls of film.
Yeah.
You wanted to get it right, but I just started really, man. I just really started messing with different lighting situations. You learn stuff when you're in a room that's not enough light versus, shooting outside at 10 o'clock in the morning versus, high light time at 3 o'clock. You just learn so much by shooting in different atmospheres, and that's what I did. I shot a lot of my friends in different settings, and just played around. I always kept a camera. I just always had a camera on me.
I would think that would be kind of like one of the very important, especially for photographers, especially like you saying, being on, if you're especially a college student, I would always say definitely carry a camera with you while you're on campus, because people love to take pictures all the time.
Pictures,
so that's a good hustle right there. Automatically, just take the camera with you.
They see you. They get used to seeing you with the camera.
Oh, you the camera guy right here. Yeah.
Come on, bro. I used to get in so many parties for free, bro. And my dad told me, he was like, look, you're going to get in a lot of parties. They're going to ask you to shoot. I mean, everything he kind of told me was going to happen. Like, you start off shooting at school. You go to a HBCU, people dressing.
Oh, yeah.
It ain't like the white school where they go to school in T-shirt, flip-flops, swim trunks. No, on the black college campus, they are dressing every day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you walk around with a camera, bro. You mess around and hey, can I take your picture? And you in the first couple ones, bop, 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 and then you come back and be like, they say, oh, right. So the one thing people do within photography, that's the greatest gift, and in your world as well, videography, is people show other people. If it's good, they gonna show somebody their pictures.
Oh yeah.
Boy, they gonna show their stuff off. And that's the way I used to, even when I was shooting mad weddings. Back in the day, you had to put the pictures in a wedding book, right? When you presented that book to the bride, man, she taking that book to work.
Showing everybody.
And then they say, I'm getting calls like, well, my cousin getting married in June. You know what I mean? You available? Bro, it would be like clockwork. So I figured out the importance of making your work tangible, putting it in their hands. Even today, I still print my work, bro. I still print my pictures. I still get my stuff framed. I like it to look good. Presentation, you know what I mean? And it gives your work so much more of a wow factor. It's like, you know what I mean? You get your stuff printed. You get it archived on nice paper. Take the time to do it, and artists love it. Other artists love it. Just as much as women like to be photographed, dudes like to be photographed.
Oh yeah, too. Even if you look on Instagram now, that's almost what artists like. Anywhere they go now, it's like, even if they go to like a little small gathering, or if they in the studio, or even if they just got on a fresh outfit. One of my favorite all-time artists is Fab, and he always posting pictures, always clean.
Because he keep a photographer with him.
And I was like, man, and I used to sit back and think, man, like, how they just randomly just taking these pictures just out of nowhere, just posing. I'm like, well, like, okay, they got a photographer, and it's like, man, it's almost like it really helps build their follow, especially nowadays.
Absolutely. So when I was doing it back in the 90s, bro, you had to sell yourself. I was selling myself to artists. Like, man, you should take me out on the road, and me, I was a low key dude, man. I was super low key. I wasn't trying to. I wasn't finna tell your business. If you got a wife at home and you doing what you doing on the road, I ain't taking no pictures of that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And you gain so much respect from dudes rappers, artists, when you just a fly on the wall, man.
And they know they can trust you.
And they know they can trust you. And you ain't and now in this era, I'm not finna post no crazies, whatever, nothing crazy of these people. So, you know, yeah, man, that was an artist, I won't say their name, and they got a big brand, and they were smoking in the dressing room, right? And I was getting pictures of the smoke and, you know, blowing it down, and a corporate guy was back there, and he said, "Oh my God, you can't take pictures of him like that." The artist that's really big with the big brand, he said, "Oh, hey man, that's Shannon, man. He wouldn't do that. He want us."
Right.
You know what I mean? And so that's the biggest, bruh, that's the biggest pat on the back. That's the biggest, I see you, we trust you, you're a solid dude. You know what I mean? I know you would never do anything to harm what we have. And that's the biggest compliment that anybody could ever give you.
Would you say it's kind of hard now, just a little bit in photography now, because nowadays, when you say, you know, these guys built trust in you because they know you wouldn't take pictures and just post them where they're doing crazy stuff. But nowadays, everybody has a camera now. So if people see them out doing something like TMZ is, they catch everything. Yeah. So does that make it hard to kind of build that trust nowadays for you? Well, in photography, would you say in general, because of it's so many cameras everywhere and these guys are kind of like vulnerable?
Not for me. Not for me. And it's because my character speaks volumes. You know, I'm a solid dude, man. I'm a man of my word. I shoot something, I deliver my product. I don't take forever to give my client to work. You know, I'm the dude that if lobby call is at 6, I'm in the lobby at 5:45. You ain't never gonna have to be like, damn man, we ready to go with Shannon. Nah, man. So, you know, if we got to be lobby call for the airport, whatever, I am early is on time is late to me. So that's just when you have that and you engrave that and you really for real live by that kind of code, then people will see you. Just like they'll see if you really don't live by a code and you a dude that you be coming to work hella drunk or you not showing up doing what you're supposed to do. People peep that too. So it's your character. It's me deciding to do another interview with you. What if the first time I met you I was like, nah, bro, that I let that dude in my home and you know he was cussing and you know I got a little kid and he was around my kid talking crazy, you know. So, you know what I mean? So
how you carry yourself matters.
How you carry yourself. You a solid dude to me. So guess what? You reached out to me, I'm back. Right. So that's business. That's it's how you carry yourself.
Absolutely. I want to go back just a little bit as well, talking about the studio. Do you remember the very first studio session you were in with a music artist? Because I remember seeing one of the pictures you posted on Instagram. You was in the studio with Big Boy. But do you remember kind of like one of the first studio sessions that you sat in, and what was that experience like?
It was Outkast.
It was Outkast.
It was Outkast. Yeah, it was Outkast. And you know, man, you in the studio and you know they may be at the mixing board, they might be right hand in the booth is over there, and I'm like right there, and I'm just like, wow, this like it's a moment right now, bro. Yeah. You know, I remember being in the studio just to jump fast forward a little bit. I used to tour with Lil Jon. And in the early, I don't know if it was the early 2000 or 2005, 6, 7, but Lil Jon was hot.
Oh yeah, that crunk era was crazy.
And I was with him then.
Oh man!
And he was on fire. I mean, producing, you know, this all kind of big records. Besides his stuff, but I don't know if you may be a little young, but what's the cat's name out of Atlanta? I can't think of their name. But Lil Jon was hot. He was big and he was everywhere.
Was it the artist you talking about? Was he with Lil Jon? Or?
Lil Jon produced a lot of records for this group. They from Atlanta. And I can't think of who they are now. But they God, I see their faces.
I wanted to say I can't remember. Was it two guys?
It's two guys.
God, I can't remember their names.
I can't think of who it is. But anyway, Sean Paul was his name. One of the dudes' name was Sean Paul. I forget the group. But Sean Paul was in the group. But Lil Jon had a session with E40, right? So we had Stink On You. first off, we had Stinkonia, Outkast studio. Anybody at any given time walk in and out of there. So I'm in this session with Lil Jon and E40, and they doing Snappy
Youngbloods.
Youngbloods.
I just thought about it. Youngblood. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly what it was. But so they doing Snap Your Finger, and I could tell by the just
it's crazy.
I said, this is gonna be crazy. And then after E40 came in later on that night, Fabo came in, and I was in the studio when he did that. I'm starting to see spaceships on Bankhead. Like I'm right there. And John telling him to do it again, and he all his takes he killed.
Man, it's crazy.
And him with Fabo and him going crazy. And I was like, wow.
Just being in the studio with those guys, did you understand like how big like that moment in time was? Cause I had a recent interview where I interviewed Mr. Joe Foster, the co-founder of Reebok, and I was asking him, did he understand at the time like how big, like how iconic he was building a shoe? Like he built the actual Reebok shoe. He's the creator of it, and he was just like, at the time it took people to come talk to him about saying, do you realize what you're doing? Like, and that's kind of when it finally hit him. Like, man, I'm really building something huge. So for you, did you understand at that time being around Outkast and Goody Mob and Lil Jon and all those artists? Did you realize how big that moment was?
You know what? What's crazy is you're in it, right? You're in it. You like every day. I would be at the studio with them. I would be at the studio with some artists every day, and the word would get out through other artists, right? And I mean, like they would pay me $500 just to go to the club with them,
and just take pictures.
Just take pictures in the club. They might go to Magic City and just be throwing them, and I'd be like, and they get a section at a club somewhere, and just taking pictures of them kicking it. You know what I mean? I did that all the time, and me having the background I understood it, man. I understood like this gonna be something. My picture's gonna be something one day. That's how I felt, and I say that because when I remember being in high school. I remember being in the 9th grade, bro. It was Michael Jordan rookie year, and my dad shot the Bulls and Hawks game. And it was Michael Jordan's first time in Atlanta at the Omni. This was where the Hawks played back in the 80s.
Okay.
And it was 84, because I was in 9th grade in 1984. I'm 51 years old. Yo, that game, my dad came home and shot that game. My dad came home with pictures of Michael Jordan when he had a low fade like yours. He had a low fade. He still had hair. And he had the Jordan 1s on. And I took the pictures to school the next day.
I bet everybody went crazy.
And my dumb butt ended up selling them for like $10 or something. I got Jordan in the Omni, these nice size black and white pictures. So to fast forward the story, I know the value of a picture will take you back to that time. You'll go back. You know what I'm saying? Right. You'll automatically go back to that era, that time. Even if you go back to your high school picture, your school picture, you'll go. Your mind will take you back to that era. So I knew with my pictures, man, that they was gonna be like Dre said, the South had something to say, man.
Oh yeah, and it's always that's why I say I really feel like, because back then social media wasn't really around. But just to have those pictures, it's special because, like you said, it's that moment in time, and you can give you a chance to kind of like reflect on what that moment in time meant and what you guys were going through at that time. So it's very special. That's why I say I love to see like when you post those pictures of artists and you kind of like share the story behind those moments, because when you see a picture, it kind of helps you visualize.
Takes you back to that era. How you know, I got some pictures upstairs that I've been going through. And you know, you get to see these cats when they were like in their 20s. Like I used to be around Jermaine Dupri, and Jermaine Dupri, he was a young mogul in Atlanta, bro. I mean, he discovered Crisscross. That dude had Escape. That dude was doing records for everybody. I mean, like, he's a legend, right? And I shot him one time for a magazine, and then, you know, you shoot people and they see you around other artists and they see you BME parties and all these different parties, and you're the photographer on the scene, so they see you a lot and they know you legit, and so they ask you, come through the studio, blah 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 blah. But man, it's just you in it, you live in it, you shooting. I'm out every night shooting. But did I know it was gonna be as big as as worthy hip hop is I kind of felt like yes I did. I really kind of felt like yes I did, because these boys had a movement in Atlanta, man. And I'm talking about man. If back then, being a photographer or a videographer, you stayed busy because there was so many parties, there was so many label events. You know what I mean? So you got to rub elbows in Atlanta. You can run into anybody, bro, at any given time. So you got to rub elbows with so many, and if it wasn't just the artists, it was people that was movers and shakers in the game. That was tied to T.I. That was tied to, this dude DJ Toomp, he the one discovered T.I. And I used to be, he used to bang out all these records, all these Atlanta records. But then he did all the T.I. first whole album. He was a beast. And he discovered him at like 13, 14. Bro, he used to call me over to the studio all the time. And I go in there, and being a producer, you got artists that are come in and lay some tracks, stay for about 6-7 hours and then dip. And then the next day or 2 days later, it's somebody else big, So I ran in so many circles. You know what I mean?
And being like that go-to guy, was it kind of like you felt, and it's not saying you were in danger or anything, but like you were just kind of like protected, like just being around these guys and they built that trust with you. If you had to go somewhere or if you ever needed anything, whatever, it's like, okay, this is Shannon, I got him, he's good. Was it kind of like that, just being around everybody? Was it kind of like you were that guy and they just made sure that you were always good?
It would be like, hey man, y'all. Oh, y'all need pictures for your artists? Man, you gotta holler at Shannon, man. So it was that kind of how that you running your race and they be like, I was getting the torch passed like crazy, bro. And so that word of mouth is such, it's like, yo, I fuck with this cat, man. You in good hands. You let him take your pictures, you in good hands. You know what I mean? So that's what it became. New York photographers were the ones that was getting out of love. Man, funny story. I was the Source reached out, the Source magazine, right? So usually they fly photographers down, but Lil Jon said, nah, I have my own photographer. You know what I mean? So I end up shooting the thing for Lil Jon, and but the dude who was I don't know who it was for. It was for some brand. I don't know, I can't remember, but it was for a brand. Dude showed up, and I met dude first at Stankonia, and dude said to me, Lil Jon walked in and went into like a studio rooms. Like they got A studio B. So dude didn't know I knew Lil Jon. I actually went to high school with Lil Jon. You know what I mean? Lil Jon flew me to his beach house to shoot his family. I spent the weekend with them.
Wow.
Like
that's crazy.
He got a big ass beach house in South Carolina.
Oh really?
And I forget what it's called, what part of South Carolina it is, but whatever big place people go. But he got a big ass Hilton Head. He's got a big ass beautiful house on the beach in Hilton Head. Elevator in it, the whole nine. Flew me down for a weekend. I spent a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday just shooting his family, hanging out on the beach, and just being at the crib, shooting them, eating breakfast, and just that's what came out of my relationship with him, that kind of shit. So anyway, when dude tried to, when I was doing the shoot, he came from New York. He tried to stop me from going to the studio. He said, "Oh no, you can't go in that. You stay out here." And when Lil Jon saw I hadn't come in yet, he came out and I was like, "Man, come on," Dude was like, "Oh damn."
Yeah.
So in Atlanta, that's how Atlanta was, man. Like people really like,
tight.
They clicked. Oh man, they clicked up. You know what I mean? And you could it could be Pastor Troy, it could be Lil Jon, it could be Petey Pablo came down, and I mean everybody would just jump on everybody's records, and everybody showed love they knew was dope at their craft. You know what I mean?
Did that sometimes, kind of create a rift? Like, did you ever feel like you had to choose a side at certain points? Because I know, of course, Jeezy and Gucci had their issues in the past, or I think at one point in time, Lil Jon and Pastor Troy might have had their differences. Yep. Did that kind of put you in the spot where you had to choose, like, if you wanted to work with one artist or the other, or like, how was that?
The only time I felt that is I used to work with Troy, Pastor Troy, and I worked with him for like 4 or 5 years, and we had become real tight. We had become real close. And I had an office at his studio and everything, and I would be over there every day, man. So I left Troy and went to Lil Jon. And I could tell Troy kind of felt some kind of way about that, Yeah. Lil Jon had asked me to go on the anger management tour, and the anger management tour was him, 50, and Eminem.
Oh, that was huge.
They were doing arenas every night. Mm-hmm. So,
That's huge. That's a huge opportunity.
Oh, yeah. So, but, I think that might have been the only time, now, I jump between D.L Hughley and George Lopez. Mm-hmm. And they're friends. But, I don't know how I used to be. I remember one time being out there, it was like, George, cool, you out here,
Yeah. But they went on, you guys went on tour together. Yeah. Like last time we did an interview, everybody was on tour together.
Yeah, we did it was for 5 years. Yeah, Coming to Get Down. With George and Sid and before Charlie Murphy passed and Eddie Griffin. But after that tour ended, I started going out with George. And then I started going out with DL. And then I started going out with George. And I started spending more time with George at one point. And so, DL just wanted to know, everything's cool, so.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know that would kind of be tough, but it's like really, like when guys have issues, like you're just really there to do a job. But I know sometimes, like you were saying, when kind of like puts you in a tough spot because you don't want to make it seem like you're not appreciative or you're like loyal to your guys or anything like that. But speaking of DL and George Lopez, how did you actually end up? Because like I said, I found you through D.L Hughley's social media. But how did you actually end up? Because you were doing hip hop artists. Like, how did you link up with D.L Hughley?
So, I used to work with Mike Epps. And still do. And I met Mike through a publicist. Mm-hmm. So I started shooting some shows for Mike, and it grew and it grew and it grew. Well, Mike was asked. George wanted to build Richard Pryor statue in his hometown in Peoria, Illinois. And so he asked DL, he has Dave Chappelle, Mike Epps, all these people. And they did the show and they raised way more than they thought they needed. And they were all able to get extra $20,000 a piece. And so George was like, why don't we turn this into a tour? And they was like, shit, okay. So Mike jumps on the tour. And so since I'm, at the time, Mike's photographer, I'm out on the tour. Mike does like 1 or 2 shows, maybe 2. And Mike ends up filming a TV show. And he jumps off the tour. So I said, well, damn, there I go. That was my opportunity, to catch these legends, Mm-hmm. But I still had my laminate, right? My all access pass. So the next weekend, I decided to fly myself to Greenville, South Carolina.
That's close to us, about an hour away. It's close to home. Okay. Yep.
So I flew myself to Greenville, South Carolina. I showed up, and they was like, "Who hired you? Who brought you out?" I said, "Nobody, man." I said, "I just wanted to come shoot, and show y'all my work, and just wanted to come shoot the show, bruh." After I shot the show.
But not to cut you off, but did they kind of already know your track record from like working with artists already?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Well, one of the managers did, but then they saw my work the week before how I shot the show. The last 2 weeks before I had shot the show because I posted the pictures and I tagged them all, blah 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 blah. Mm-hmm. And so and after Mike got off the tour, they ended up having a meeting and say, "Look, man, we want you on the tour. What does it take to have you on the tour? So that's how I got on the tour and ended up going 5 years.
Man, that's huge. And
just because I decided to, I could have not gone, but I decided to fly myself to Greenville, South Carolina, and I still had my all Essex pass. So I was like, shit, I might as well just go.
And it's amazing that you kind of found that you realized it was an opportunity. Like what?
It was an opportunity.
You just realized you took that chance, and you say, you don't know how it's going to turn out,
right?
But you were willing to, take a chance, bet on yourself. Again, even though you already had a great track record of working with artists anyway, and you still find a way to say, you know what, I'm gonna still go out here, and then it just turned into you, going on a tour with those guys
for 5 years. And I said to myself, what am I gonna lose? If I shoot the show tonight and then they just say thank you for the pictures, then it
is what it is.
It is what it is.
But you still and now it's just turned into a great relationship.
Oh man,
with these guys.
now I've been with George 7 years, and I've been with DL now 7-8 years. So it turned into some longevity.
Mm-hmm. Did you have a moment where, or just being around all of these legends in entertainment, was there anybody that you ever came across to where you were just like, kind of, I guess like a fan, like I'm trying to figure out the word I want to use, but like you were just like kind of like starstruck in the sense of like, man, I'm really in front of this person.
Man, let me tell you, two people, and I'm not gonna say them in the order I should say them in, but I'm gonna say them in this order. Back in 1996, the Olympics, when the Olympics came here, I got to shoot Ray Charles. That was dope. Like, we talking about
iconic,
a legend, Ray Charles, Georgia on my mind. You know what I'm saying? And so I got to shoot that, and I got to shoot Barack and Michelle Obama, man.
That's huge.
And that was just that was the biggest. But of course, I wanted to say Ray Charles first because it happened first. But to be able to shoot Barack and Michelle, man, was incredible. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I actually had a moment, and I spoke about this before, and I wrote it in my book. The moment for me was actually when I was, my senior year in college, and I was covering sports. And Coach Cox, he had me cover high school football, and then he just took me along with him to cover like the Hornets and the Panthers.
Oh, that's dope.
A lot of different sporting events.
Yeah.
But the first thing we went to, we riding up to a football game on a Friday night, and he's like, "Hey, I'm getting ready to go cover ACC Media Day. Do you want to come with me?" And then he said, after that, we're gonna go over to the Hornets game. And this was when this was the year of the Hornets. They were the Bobcats, but then they just switched the name back to the Hornets. It was 2014-2015 season. So I went with them. We go check into the hotel for the media day. I see Coach K walking in the hallway, or Jim Boeheim, or Rick Pitino, Roy Williams.
Wow.
So that was dope. And then, going to the Hornets game, just being a fan of basketball. I mean, I love sports. So I got a chance, we actually get a chance to go in the locker room and, and interview the players. I don't know how things are now with COVID, but back then we got a chance, they would feed us when you get there to the arena, feed the media, you go up, watch the game, and you go in the locker room and, interview the players and talk to the coaches. But on the way after the game, and this was when this might have been Giannis's first or second year. So at the time, I didn't know he would be as great as he is now.
Right.
It's crazy. But, after the game, the Hornets won the game. We're walking down the hallway. So I'm going one way, and then here comes Michael Jordan just walking past me. So, me, I'm just like, I just look over my shoulder like, dang, that's Mike right there. So I was like, man, that was just crazy to just be in front of all of these athletes. The one athlete I didn't get to see, and I hate I didn't get to see him, I was actually at the game, but he was hurt at the time, was Kobe.
Okay.
And this was right when his body started breaking down. He had he had just recovered from a torn Achilles, but then he had a knee issue. But that was my guy. But I didn't get to see him. But there was some times, man, where I was just like, I can't believe I'm really like sitting in front of these people.
That's so dope.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's inspiring too. It's hella inspiring to keep pushing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I want to ask you though, what would you say was kind of like the most for you? Then we're gonna try to switch gears a little bit. What was like kind of like the most difficult part for you, like in your career, as far as like being on the road and traveling, you have a family and everything. Like, what would you say was kind of like the toughest part of just like being a photographer, or was anything tough for you?
You're away from home, like every weekend. You you busy a lot, you know, because there's always something going on, you know, and that's how you make your money. You know, you building a name, you know what I mean? And in order to build a name, you got to be there.
Right.
You got to be at these events, man. You got to be at the stuff that's going on, and this type of business. It's FaceTime. I call it FaceTime. They need to see your face. They need to associate you with you doing podcasts. They need to associate with me being a photographer. You know what I mean?
And I was going. Sorry to cut you off. It's tough because you're doing what you love, but then at the same time you're missing that family time as well. And that's the thing we talk about a lot, and that's kind of hard for me as well. You know, like doing what you love. You want to make a difference in other people's lives, but it's like, man, you missing your family time. Because I have 3 kids, and you know, I'm at a point now where I want them to come along with me, but they're still young. My baby girl, she's 3. Yeah. You know, like she'll ruin this whole interview. She came right now, but it's like, you know, I told them I promised them, said I'm gonna bring y'all with me one day to come and do an interview with me. But that's one of the toughest things, is because like you want to do what you love. But sometimes you put your family on the back burner. Not that you're trying to do it intentionally, it's like because of course you want to provide for them. Oh yeah. And you still want to do what you
what you love to do. Yeah. And it's good for you. It's good. And when your kids get old, it's good for them to see you do what you do. And this is the work my dad loves. This is something that my dad is passionate about.
They may not realize it when they're young, but as they get older,
man, they'll get it. They'll get it. You know,
they'll start
I had my kids around. I used to take my kids on photo shoots all the time, all the time, and so they could see what I do, and they could see my invoices, how much I got paid. I would show them. I would ask them before the shoot, you know, help me with locations. Where should I shoot today? You know, you know. So.
Is it mind blowing to you? You know, and I don't want to make it sound like a small thing, but just to see how, because I think about this sometimes myself about, you know, just a microphone and a laptop. When I first started, I don't think I had was a laptop. I say this over and over so people can understand. But to see how this just took me from, you know, starting at home, like I remember recording in my dad's building in the back. I went to my school and recorded in the library. To seeing how I went to doing local entrepreneurs, to, you know, going out of state, then just recently going all the way across the country. And, and I had a moment where I just sat there like, man, I started with just a laptop, and now I traveled all the way across the country. Like I just told you earlier, like I just interviewed the co-founder of Reebok. So it's like, man, I just started with a laptop. And just to see where it took me, where it brought me to, and I'm still going. Like I still have so much more I want to accomplish. But for you, is it mind blowing to see how a camera just changed your life and impacted other people's lives?
Man, let me tell you something, man. First off, I told myself when I got in the game, one of the most important things for me is I said, I want my camera to take me around the world. I want my camera to take me around the world. I want to go out. I want to go many places out the country. And shooting hip hop led me to being a staff photographer at Delta Airlines. I became a staff photographer at Delta. So I mean, like my first assignment was to West Africa. You know, I went to Ghana, and Delta was in partnership with Habitat for Humanity. And so the Delta employees would volunteer their time in building homes, and I would shoot it. And then on my time off, when they would be done, I would walk through the villages and shoot. You know what I mean? So photography has done some amazing things. You know what I mean? Photography has allowed me to see so many things I wouldn't have saw growing up in Georgia. You know, I grew up in, you know, Georgia, and it opened my eyes to more than my neighborhood, more than the school I went to. You know what I mean? I've learned so much. You know, I'm on my second passport. You know, I filled up a whole passport, bro. You know, so it's a blessing, man. It's been wonderful to my kids. It's been wonderful to my kids. You know, well, one of them in particular, but yeah.
But it's just amazing, like just using your gift and, you know, believing in yourself. It just brought you this far. And I always hear Steve Harvey say your gift will make room for you and put you in the presence of great men. And just to see how far it brought you, man, it's amazing.
It's an honor.
I have I saw your quote. I mean, I remember you said it towards the end of our last interview, and then it's also on your profile. You have a saying where you say, "Same camera, a different eye." Talk a little bit about that saying that you use.
So that's my LLC, man. I always used to use the term all the time, and now it's my company, same camera, different eye, and it means we all kind of slick got the same camera. You know, they cameras. You know what I mean? I don't care if you got Sony or Canon or Nikon, they still cameras. It's a camera. But everybody that picked that camera up has a different eye. Everybody that touched that camera has a different eye. And I'm gonna see something that you're not gonna see, and you're gonna see something that I'm not gonna see. You know what I mean? And if we both got cameras and we go out and we hang out for 6 hours in a day, me and you both gonna come up with a lot of different stuff.
Yep.
You know? So that's kind of my motto is that, you know, I'm different with mine, you know, but it's pretty much the same camera you got, but I'm just different with mine. So that's what I'm saying.
Absolutely. I want to change gears a little bit. As I mentioned earlier, your son is one of the biggest artists in hip hop right now. Absolutely, most definitely. How has it been for you to see where he? Because I remember it was crazy because I remember when I asked you the last time, you kind of telling the story, and I actually seen it where Coach K and P were doing a Rap Radar interview, and they told the same story that you did about how Coach K discovered him, how you knew Coach K back in the day, and y'all put two and two together and connected him, and he turned into one of the biggest artists. How was it for you to see your son become one of the biggest artists?
Like any other dad. You know, you proud as hell, you shocked, you so happy for your kid, man. All you want as a father, man, as you know, all you want is your kid to be better than you. You want them to be a law-abiding citizen. That's what my mom used to say. She said, I just want you to be a good law-abiding citizen. And it used to sound kind of corny, but that means staying out of jail. Yep. That means not stressing my mama with some bullshit, you know, or my dad, or them having to get me in out of jail, or I'm getting a whole bunch of DUIs, or I'm, you know, it's being a law-abiding citizen, being somebody that go to work, come home, I might have me a drink, I might chill with my lady, and I don't bother nobody. Right. You know what I mean? I ain't starting no shit. I'm just, you know, I'm a solid dude. So, you know, that's what I wanted for him. But I didn't want him to go do a 9 to 5. And we used to talk about that all the time. You know, I kind of wanted him to go into the video work because he was heavy in the video. He was heavy in the fashion. And so I wanted him to, you know, possibly be a DJ. You know, being a rapper never, you know. Right. Never crossed my mind. But I tell you what he used to do is he used to be on my Mac desktop, my MacBook, and he would do these voiceovers, man. And he would do skits. He would do skits, and I would see it on the computer, and he just became so good at it, you know. So some type of art form was going to happen. I knew that. He had an advantage because I was already in the game. You know what I'm saying? I was already in the game, man. So I used to take him everywhere. I used to take him to the studio. I used to take him on my photo shoots. Coach K had seen him as Lil Miles. It's like, oh yeah, Lil Miles, yeah. And he by the time he got to high school, he already had that exposure already. He had exposure, and I worked for Delta. So you flying everywhere for free. I'm taking him everywhere. You going on photo shoots with me. You hanging around swaggy adults. So you know you so advanced. You know you listening to way more than what the dudes in your neighborhood listening to, because I was listening to way more. You know what I mean? Right. And he for real he soaked the game up, man. He really soaked the game up. You said something interesting that just grabbed my attention when you said you knew you didn't want him to work a 9 to 5. Like, what was your reason behind him not working 9 to 5? And I asked that because a lot of times now, when you say things about people being entrepreneurs and not working 9 to 5, people who
actually work those jobs feel like you're taking a shot at them for some reason. Like, why y'all, especially what we are, they're like, why y'all always knocking people who work a 9 to 5? There's nothing wrong with it. And I always tell people there's nothing wrong with, having a job. But at the same time, it's nothing wrong with investing in yourself either. But what would you say is kind of like, what was like your particular reason for like not wanting him to work a 9 to 5?
Because as a creative, I didn't want him bogged down. Mm-hmm. And ain't nothing wrong with a 9 to 5, bro. I still work a 9 to 5. Mm-hmm. I still travel on the weekends. I work 6 days a week, and 1 day of travel. Like I still work that Delta Monday through Friday. I leave work on Friday, and I go tour on the weekends, and I come home on Sunday. Mm-hmm. Like I do it every week for the last, I don't know how many years. Yeah. But I wanted him to always be able to make money creatively. And just do, because he loved art. So I wanted him to find his lane in art, which I didn't know what it was going to be, but he wanted to go to fashion school. He wanted to go to fashion college. Mm.
And I saw you say something about that. You posted a picture recently, like something about going out to L.A. You shared a story about Kanye and going out to L.A. and then how somehow he met A$AP Rocky doing fashion or something. Can you talk a little bit about that as well?
So first off, like the weekend before, I got a homeboy, Atlanta homeboy. See, I'm gonna tell you something how this worked in our business. I got a homeboy that had blew up in remember the reality shows when they popped off and everybody had reality shows and it was big back in the day?
Yep.
Well, my homeboy was a producer on a reality show, and his bread popped off, right? He was renting a mansion in the Hollywood Hills. And I had flew out there and kicked it with it one weekend. I was like, bro, you living, bro. Like you can see all of downtown LA. Oh, man. Like he got the big pool, he got the fake volleyball net with the beach, fake sand, then you got a hot tub over here, and then the guest room had a big ass balcony, and then his bedroom had a balcony from here to down there. I mean, it was like, bro, you living. So I said to him, so I hit him, I said, hey bro, I want to come out to LA. And mind you, I work for Delta, I fly free. So I get the kids, and I say, hey man, but I want to bring my kids, man. I really want them to see how you living, bro. He's like, I be having ladies in and out. You know what I mean? Yeah. I said, hey, bro, I promise you, we in the streets. I'm trying to show my kids LA. This is their first time in LA. I'm trying to show them LA. We just want to lay our head in your crib, but after that, we gone.
Right.
He agreed to it. Bro, when we pulled up to the house and the kids saw the house, man, you talking about black kids, man, that really see what they see where they from.
Right.
So you take them out to California and they first time and you take them to a house in the Hollywood Hills.
Mind blowing.
Bruh, my son was like, he said, Dad, I want to live like this one day. Bro, I want to live like this one day. So I told my partner, I said, bruh, let me tell you something, man. I said, you gave my kids the biggest gift I could get them to see something different. Now, this was like 7-8 years ago. Bro, he texted me. I got to show you. He texted me day before yesterday. Mind you, this was like 7-8 years ago. He said, he found a note I left him on a napkin at his crib. Thank you, fam. This is me to him. Thank you, fam. You have enriched my kid's life with this trip. Forever grateful, Shannon.
Man.
He just sent me that. And he said in the text, fam, you said one day that the trip to my house helped Lil Boat blossom. And I said, bro, it did. I said, because you allowed my son to see how you was living.
Yeah, planted the seed.
He planted the seed. Man. And not only did he plant the seed, when we got there, when we landed in LA, before we got to the house, when we landed in LA, it was a dude outside, and Miles done been, at this point, he in 10th grade. He done been around so many rappers. He done been, cause he go everywhere with me. Bro, he was spazzing over this little dude outside of the airport in baggage claim. I was like, damn, what was this? Like, he was like, Dad, that's such and such, such and such. I said, who was that? He said, he worked with A$AP Rocky and Kanye. He their creative stylist, and he this and he that in the style game. I said, wow. So Miles go over and introduce himself to the dude. Miles take a picture with him, want to take a picture with the dude. He said, "Hey, man, take my number down." They exchanged phone numbers. Then we leave to go to the mansion. Then we fly back to Atlanta that Sunday. Bruh, by Wednesday, my son is like, "Dad, dude invited me to L.A. And can I go?" I said, "Yeah, I'm cool with it. Your mom cool with it?" She was like, but I said, he had proved to me that he was the type of young man, the kid, that I could trust at 16 years old to go fly to L.A. for the weekend by himself.
Wow.
I let my kid go fly to L.A. for the weekend. Yeah, man, at 10th grade.
Yeah.
And I'm the one that took him out of school on that Friday and let him go, But when he landed and he got there and kicked it, he sent me a selfie. He said, "Dad, I'm in A$AP Rocky crib. I'm going to spend the night here tonight." A$AP started messing with him, right? They go to the studio. Who's at the studio? Kanye. Kanye sees Miles. Miles is in high school, bro. Kanye sees Miles. No, Miles is, by this time, I think Miles is in 11th grade. But anyway, Kanye sees Miles. Said, "Hey, man, I like you. You remind me of myself. Can you come to New York Friday? Can you come to New York like next Friday or whatever?" Miles said, "Yeah, my dad worked for Delta." He flies home. We decide that we're going to let him go to New York. I don't know what Kanye need with him, but we're going to let him go to New York. Flies to New York. He does a fitting for the Yeezy fashion show, bro.
And this was before he started rapping.
He ain't even rapping.
He ain't rapping.
No, he's in high school. This is just him flying out on the weekends that he had met that dude in L.A. He ain't no Lil Yachty. He ain't no Lil Boat. He ain't nothing. He just Miles. Bruh, he goes and does the Yeezy fashion show. And you can Google this. And Kanye put him in the front. With that red hair, everybody else had on this color, like a tan color. Kanye put him on the front with a red sweatshirt and the red hair. And man, that next day, bruh, he was everywhere. I mean, he was on people.com. He was on vogue.com. He was everywhere. And shit just changed overnight. And he just became that it dude. So now we thinking, okay, he gonna be a little street fashion model. That's what I'm thinking. You finna pop your little fashion game off now. The brands is finna come. Like, bro, it was crazy. So I come home and I hit Coach K. And I say to him, no, let me back up. Let me give you a little back up. By this time, he had done, his boys are rapping, right? And they egg him on to get in the booth to do a song. He do the song. His song take off. He put it on SoundCloud and it started growing. It started growing legs. A kid take his song and put it on Twitter or something and do a video to it, and it goes viral. Now everybody want to know who's the dude singing the song. And so now you just coming off these Yeezy fashion show at Madison Square Garden to now your song on SoundCloud is going viral. So I hit Coach K, which I didn't know. Miles had hit Coach K months before in his DM and said, "Hey, bro, I think I'm going to be that next guy. I think I'm going to be that next dude." But Coach didn't answer his DM. Coach get 100,000.
He probably get a lot of them, yeah.
Bruh, from these kids saying they that next dude. So he didn't even open Miles' DM. But because I done shot Jeezy, I done ran around Atlanta with Coach because we in the same circle. I hear Coach. I'm like, "Yo, man, my son kind of making a little noise." He said, "Who's your son, Miles?" I said, "Yeah, Miles." He said, "Bring him to the studio tomorrow." Bring him to the studio. He see Miles appeal. Red hair, a little swaggy little kid, right? He said, "Hey, man, you need to let me have him, Shannon. I can turn him into that next dude." Still didn't sign with him yet. 2 or 3 days later, he said, "Man, I'm going to take him to New York. I'm going to take him to Spotify. I'm going to take him to YouTube. I'm going to take him to Complex. I'm going to let them see who he is." And he took him to all these different places. Is this the kid that was in Kanye's fashion show? And they said, man, he just started putting him around. You went from being around the little dudes making beats in a closet to now you with some of the biggest names, you at Rick Rubin house. And Rick Rubin put him with drum and they did Broccoli.
Broccoli, yep.
And that was Rick Rubin's idea. But you got the Rick Rubin house through Coach K. And you got the Coach K through your dad.
Yeah, yep.
So it's all. If I had bad character, if I was one of them shady cats, Coach K wouldn't have took my call, man. Mm-hmm. I don't care about your son.
Yep. Y'all had that solid relationship, and it's
solid, bro.
Kind of like that 6 degrees of separation where everybody knows somebody, and it's like a matter of time before everything just connects.
It links up. And I don't be trying to be on no brag shit, but when you got a solid foundation, you got solid character, people rock with you. Absolutely. And they'll listen to you. They'll at least sit at the table or take your call. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And that's what happened.
Absolutely.
And the rest is kind of history.
And it's amazing, like you were saying, you also mentioned that, and then it came around to where he was actually on Kanye's latest album, the Donda album.
Donda album, full circle, bro.
It's amazing, yeah.
Full circle, like, and for hip hop today, I equated my son being on Kanye's Donda album is the equivalent of him being on the Beatles or at that time or Michael Jackson record. Like, you finna get heard.
He's huge. And to me, and some people may disagree, but I think today, Kanye he may be the most polarizing artist in hip hop right now.
Ain't no
just because of his influence and how he can just amazing how his reach, just doing these pop-up album sessions at the stadium.
This dude selling out the Falcons can't do that.
Exactly.
The Falcons ain't doing what he did, bro. He sold out the Mercedes-Benz Stadium twice. Bro.
That's crazy.
So yeah,
and the way he can just get all these artists on his album, and
whoever you want,
they gonna give him his best, his best verse. It's like, to me, he's probably the most polarizing artist. Definitely right now.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Maybe probably one of the most influential ever.
So what you just said, your kid on the record with him.
It's almost a surreal feeling, man. Like,
polarizing, one of the biggest artists. If Kanye died tomorrow, God rest his soul, he doesn't, hopefully. That's all they're gonna talk about. It's gonna be like when Michael Jackson died. That's all they're gonna talk about. Yeah. That's how big Kanye is. That dude is huge. He for real, he on some Jay-Z level. Yeah. Beyonce.
Because anytime he says something, whether you agree or disagree with him, you gonna listen.
Yeah, you gonna listen.
Just because it's Kanye.
Bruh, we ain't talking music. We talking this dude sneaker game nuts. And we talking this dude influence on the culture, not just hip hop, the culture. So with that saying, this cat rocking with my kid, man. And I remember when he wanted to go see Kanye in the 11th grade, and me and his mom split a ticket for him. We split a $150 ticket. And he went to go see Kanye in 11th grade by himself. And now, full circle, you own Kanye's album, and you got to do the Yeezy fashion show, and he did a photo shoot with Kanye and Kim Kardashian back in the day for this European magazine. I'm like he's wow, it's bro. Crazy, you know, like it's crazy. It's a blessing. My son out here doing, and now he on his mogul shit. Like my son doing more than just music. He's an actor. He's got his own nail polish line. He on the cover of a cereal box. He did a deal with General Mills on the cover of a Reese's cup.
I saw something you posted also with him and T.O.
Yeah, he's investing in a new plant-based energy drink.
Okay, yeah.
So he just got his hands all over the place, man, and he buying property. You know,
where did he get that? What do you feel like he got that business mindset from? Because a lot of time, some artists just focus just strictly on music, but for him, he does everything.
Yeah, his mom is hella savvy on the business tip. So he saw his mom, on the corporate side,
And plus, with you being around artists, they helped him as well.
And the other flip side, he saw me out here grinding and hustling and shooting and being in the streets, and he saw all that. So you got me being a creative artist, and I'm out here shooting, taking you to studios, parties, different things, and that's a blessing for a kid, man. You got your mom that's getting suited and booted for her everyday attire, going to work, and then you got me being over here, this artsy-fartsy creative dad that's taking you all of these different places, and you're meeting all these different artists. So you got the best of both worlds. You know, so he got drive. He got drive from his mama. He got drive from me. And then when you do that, you parlay it into your own drive, and then you go do your own thing and go do all these great things. And now he got a videographer that he take with him everywhere he goes, everywhere. So the dude basically almost live with it, you know. So Miles and now my next generation understands the importance of documentation, and you know, his boat show on YouTube, and
I can just tell just the business savvy because I went back and watched his video with Drake and the baby, the Oprah's bank account.
Yep.
And you know, it was kind of like a little skit, had little skits in it and everything. But it's a dope record. But I just remember him when he was sitting there talking to the baby, and it was kind of like, I guess it was kind of just making little jokes and anything. But it was very interesting what he said, because he was talking to the baby about, you know, doing a business or something. And he told the baby, you should open a daycare, the baby's daycare. And then he said something else about, because the baby always says, let's go in his records. So he was like, maybe you should do create your own like GPS or something that's called Let's Go. So just those little things like that already.
Bro, his mind stay clicking.
Yeah, it just.
He stay on it.
Even if it wasn't intentionally to be like that, maybe it's kind of be just like
to come off the cuff like that,
something like that. But it's still business savvy, just to say something
like that, bro. He been that kid that always was forward thinking, always forward thinking. How can I? He used to, when he was in high school, bro. He used to go to the thrift store, and his mom taught him how to sew. So he would make his sweatpants real. Make them like they were real custom like, and he sold them like that. And so when he was sewing like that, he'd go to school. Then he started taking orders. So other dudes say, "Hey man, do my pants," and he would trim their pants and he sew them tight, and he'd give them the skinny leg pants on their sweats. Like, he was always about making money. He was always like a marketing major. You know, you always thinking about how can I push my brand, if you will, forward.
Absolutely. Is it hard for you to, you know, kind of listen to, because at the end of the day, he's a young adult now, but he's still your child at the end of the day. Is it hard for you to kind of like listen to people like try to criticize him at times? Because I remember the last time we were talking, I remember it was one moment where he got caught some flack because he was saying something along the lines of he didn't really know who Tupac was and stuff. Like that, and people were jumping on him. But is it hard for you to kind of like listen to people, you know, try to criticize him at times? And do you want to like step in, but you know, at the same time, like, okay, he's grown, so you want to let him?
You know, I had to learn the hard way, man. I in the beginning, I was reading everything. You know, I'm reading everything, and some of the comments was super like, damn, that's harsh. You know, like, damn, you don't even know him, and you know, you talking crazy, you know, and some things I would get caught in that, man. And one time I said something real crazy about Joe Budden, because Joe Budden had.
I remember seeing that headline one time.
Man, and when I did that, man, it got picked up by the media, and I went viral for protecting my son. And you know, people was on my side, but it was still Lil Yachty's dad. You know? Yeah. And he called me. He's like, "Dad, you got to chill, man. You got to chill. You got to chill, man." And I backed off, and so now I don't read the comments, or if I do read the comments, and if I don't agree with something, you know, I have to remember and remind myself, you know what, that's your opinion, man.
Absolutely,
that's your opinion.
What kind of advice do you give him now? Because I know life has changed for him. It's probably, you know, he's a young man, he wants to have fun, but I could imagine, you know, being in the spotlight all the time, it's probably hard for him to even like go to the grocery store.
Yeah, it is, man. And you know, and sometimes, man, it sucks because, you know, I remember one time he wanted some McDonald's, and he had to sit in the car, you know, and you know, we were in California somewhere, and I was on a tour with him. And all his friends got out the little minivan or the what they call those sprint vans.
Sprinters. Yeah, sprinters.
So everybody jumped out and was like, oh, you know, I'm finna get this and I'm finna get that, and that's when you that age, man, you 20, 21, it's fun to go into McDonald's or go into Burger King with your friends and y'all order food, and you know, and then you sit down and eat together. And he couldn't do it, you know. Yeah. So everybody had to bring their food and eat it on the Sprinter. So I know. And I know there have been times where he he puts his hoodie on and he hides his hair, and I know that's got to suck at times because you get bothered all the time.
Yeah,
you know?
and at that level of fame, you
always somebody always want to take a picture, and then if you don't, like one time we were at California Peace and we eating, and the lady kept bugging. I was like, ma'am, can you let him eat? Afterwards.
Right.
And then they think I'm being an asshole because I'm like, can you let him finish his meal? They want you to stop eating. They want you to take the picture when they
at least
want
let him eat his food.
Yeah,
come
man.
on,
so
man. Yeah,
it's just a level of respect. One lady came up. She's like, I don't know who you are, but my sons know. Can I take a picture with you? It just it's so crazy. But
is it still that way here when he comes home? Because even though people know him already, now it's still the same.
Because
way.
Let me tell you what happens is if he goes to Foot Locker, if he goes to the mall, he want to go shopping. People don't get to see celebrities all the time. So when they do, it's a moment for them. I don't care who you are, even if you ain't one of their favorite rappers, they just know you as Lil Yachty and you famous. You famous. People are so caught up in fame that they still want to take a picture with you, or they still want to, follow you to your car and see what kind of car you're driving, or it'd be all kind of stuff.
Do you encourage him, like, you don't say his location or anything, but are you in the mindset of that you wanted him, like, just because of who he is now in the spotlight, that you wanted him to kind of get away from home? Because it's always that video when an artist, something happens to an artist, that clip of Boosie always comes out where it says, being an artist, people want to do the most to you when being in your hometown. Yeah. Were you of that mindset that when he blew up that he had to, just get away from home, or did you still want him to kind of,
No, because he's
even though he's not who portrays that image of like being a street artist, and in the streets and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah. I got what you're saying. No, he's very family oriented. Mm-hmm. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's very family oriented. So I couldn't see him living anywhere else. Now I remember he had an apartment in L.A. because he's out there so much. So he had a little crib in L.A. and then he got his houses here. But really going to relocate, no, I can't see that. No,
Just a few more questions and we'll get ready to wrap it up. This pandemic changed a lot of things, especially with going on tour, and it just changed life for a lot of people. What would you say was the biggest lesson that you learned throughout this pandemic?
Patience. Like patience, man. It's the world slowed us down, bro.
It really did.
It slowed us down, man, and you had to have some patience because you couldn't move the way you was used to moving. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And that ain't no fun when you can't move the way you used to moving, and you ain't never in your life, in your mother and father never in their life experienced anything that we experienced this past year.
Right.
That was wild, man. Like, hold up, I can't go get on the airplane, or I can't, it was just so different, man. It's like, and it messed with your bread. It was like, wow, you can't make no money right now. Everybody on standstill.
Mm-hmm. And it wasn't like it was just like the middle class or the low class. It was everybody.
Bro, it was everybody.
It hit everybody this
time.
So
you better have some patience, man, because you're gonna be in the crib drinking too much, or you're gonna be doing too much of something, or stressing your old lady out, or driving yourself crazy.
Just looking back on your journey and everything that you've accomplished and been all over the world, but is there anything that you would tell your younger self to do differently?
Save more. I wish I would have saved more, man. I made a lot of money and I spent a lot of money. Yeah. You know what I mean? But you in the moment you living, you only get one life, you know. You're having a good time.
Was it being around artists that kind of, you like, man, I'm around them, they balling?
And back in the day, you ain't had no cash apps or no, they was paying you in cash. Them dudes would come out their pocket like,
easy.
You know what I mean?
That's
and now
crazy.
I got a pocket full of cash. It's like, whoa, So, I kind of wish my young self would have did a little bit, been smarter with my money, as I am now,
Just talking about the state of hip hop real quick. To me, the South has been dominating almost like the past at least 15 to 20 years from from So Def, Jermaine Dupri and So Def and Ludacris and Jeezy and T.I. and Gucci, even up to now with your son and Lil Yachty, the Baby, QC, Migos, everybody. Like, how do you describe this time of like the South being just so dominant? Even Outkast in the past, everybody. Just how do you describe like the South, like, and what it meant to the hip hop culture to just be so dominant for this long stretch?
Because Atlanta artists rock with each other. Atlanta artists rock with each other, man, and they put out. I mean, for real, the A just been putting out good work. You know, all them different artists you named, they just been putting out good work over the years, and it just keep going, like Future and Young and Thug and you know, I mean, these Atlanta artists are putting out putting out good work, so they can't be denied. So it just makes sense the way the South is running right now. You know, the Atlanta artists are running things because they always have, and they dope with their craft.
It's just so unique. And I remember like one of the things that was you hate the pandemic happened, but one of the things that it did though was that it created a versus. So I remember watching, it was Nelly and Ludacris, but then when you get a chance to watch it, it just gives you like takes you back down memory lane to like, you remember these artists, like these great records that they put out. That was one of the things that the verses did, and it was just like it was like a big blessing just to see that. And I was like, man, these artists, like, it just reminds you, man, like Atlanta artists have really just dominated for a long stretch of time, and it's still ongoing today. But just get a couple more questions. We'll get ready to wrap it up. Well, this will be the last one. We like to ask people when they come on the road, when we've been traveling everywhere. This is our Cross the Line podcast self-investment tour. So my final question to you will be, what does self-investment mean to you?
Self-investment means investing in myself, in my health, in my wealth, taking care of me, you know, focusing on my business. Self-investment means, you know, saving my money for better equipment, you know what I mean? Better lenses, better things that's going to push my business forward. So, you know, I know now that I deserve that. So I work hard enough to put the money aside to invest in what means the most to me.
Absolutely. Shannon, I want to thank you also for taking the time. You also inspired me. I got something for you as well. But I remember last year, it was some guy that you knew, you followed him, and I guess he was talking about a book, and I remember you posting the book. It was called The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari.
Yep.
And I saw you post that. I was like, man, let me go check this book out. So I ended up, what I did was I went and I was reading it on my phone. I got an ebook, and I was like, man, this book, I was just reading the first few pages, like, man, this is really good. So I ended up buying that book. So thank you, because you inspired me, because I love reading books.
Right on.
So when you did that, it's like, and that's probably one of my top 5 books that I've read within the past year. It's a great read. But I also got you a gift, just a token of appreciation. I wrote a book. This was it took me about 2.5 to 3 years to write it, but this is my very first book. It came out back in March. It's entitled F School Life Was Your Best Teacher.
And yes, it is.
And
hands down.
And when you read it, it's not what you're gonna expect, but it's just me just talking about a life lessons. Like I said, I was forced to create my own opportunities, and that's a picture of me and my son on the front, and he's actually holding my degree.
Wow.
So it's me coming from a perspective of a college graduate. But I just wanted to give you that book as just a token of appreciation. I really want to thank you again for taking the time, because you really, this really meant a lot to me that you kept your word. I reached back out to you and you said, give you a little time because you were traveling and everything, but you still kept your word, and you allowed us to come back into your home again to shoot another interview. So
Absolutely.
I really appreciate you taking the time
to
do that. So that really meant a lot to me. But before we get out of here, can you tell everyone how to find you on social media?
Yep. So all my socials are at Shannon McCollum, ShannonMcCollum. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all at Shannon McCollum.
And just give people real quick before we get out of here, and we're going to wrap it up. For anybody that wants to chase their dream and has a vision of whatever they want to do in life, what advice would you leave for them?
Definitely believe in yourself. If you know if you feel like for real you dope at your craft, by all means keep going, man, and just know that money don't always come at the beginning. It really don't, man. You got to prove yourself. You got to push yourself, and when you do that, you learn something. You learn something about yourself too, and somebody gonna see you. You know, somebody gonna hear you. Somebody gonna hear about you. But you just believe in yourself. Take chances. Spend money on yourself to get where you got to go. Sometime. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You got to spend a little bread to get to where the faces are, the people that's shaking and grooving and shaking. So yeah, man, invest in yourself. You know, believe in yourself and put you first.
Absolutely. Like we always say, this is Crossline Podcast self-investment tour. The self-investment is the best investment that you could possibly make. I want to thank our sponsors again, KB Car Care. Thank you to Big Ben's Desserts. And also thank you to Charlene's Home Cooking for sponsoring this episode of Crossline Podcast. Shannon, I want to thank you again. I really appreciate the opportunity.
It's a pleasure, man.
So hopefully everyone enjoyed this episode. It's a great lesson in history again. Hope you learned a lot of things from this interview. But once again, this is the Crossline Podcast self-investment tour. Keep chasing your dreams. Thank you for listening.
Peace. Yo, this is Shannon McCullum, man. You tuned in to Cross the Line Podcast. Check me out on there, all right? Peace.